Hey there, I'm Zach with Colony Roofers. Today we're going to go over how much does a roof cost. And just to make sure that you're watching the right video, this one is going to be specifically about shingles. We have a couple other videos as well, which we'll go ahead and link here for you. TPO roof costs, roof coatings, and if we have any others, we'll make sure to put these here for you. But let's go ahead and dive into how much does a shingle roof cost. All right, so the first component of any roof, we'll start from the bottom, and that's going to be the decking. Typically, when we're talking about shingles, that's going to be installed on top of a wood structure. So you're either going to have OSB board, plywood, or maybe even 1x boards. So on some older houses, you can have a 1x6 or a 1x8 board that is your roof deck. So when it comes to decking, the thing that's going to impact how much your shingle roof costs is whether decking needs to be replaced and then what type of decking it is. At least in the current market environment, when it comes to plywood, you're going to be looking at anywhere from, and get ready, this is a ridiculous range, but I want to make sure that inflationary stuff that's going on right now is taken into account for purposes of this video. A piece of plywood may be anywhere from $20 to $80 per piece. Okay, so 6 months ago it was $76, I think. Last time I checked, it was down to $25. So bottom line is it's going to be based on the specific time when you're getting your roof replaced. If you don't have much wood needed, or if you don't think that much of the decking on your house or on your property is currently rotted out, then you really don't need to worry about this component of the roof cost as much. The next pieces we'll talk about will be underlayment and the actual shingles. That's going to have more of an impact on the roof cost if you don't need much wood repair. All right, the next component of how much does a shingle roof cost is going to be the underlayment. So we're just working our way up from the deck all the way to the shingles. So when it comes to underlayment, slope is your friend. So if you have a house that has a really low slope roof, let's say it's from the ridge of the roof, it just goes out ever so slowly. We call that low slope in roofing. What you're going to need is you're going to need a more substantial roofing underlayment in order to waterproof your roofing system. If you have a really steep roof that has a pitch and a ridge like this, and then it goes really abruptly down, that doesn't need as much waterproofing because it obviously is going to shed water with gravity really easily. So when it comes to roofing underlayment, you're going to have a few major types. When it comes to a low slope shingle roof, you're probably going to need a peel and stick type of underlayment. When we talk about peel and stick, we're talking about ice and water. We're talking about a nail base, something that sometimes is even used on a modified bitumen flat roofing system, but something that is substantial waterproofing underneath the shingles. If you have a steep slope roof, you can get away with synthetic roofing underlayment, or even on new construction, a lot of the times they'll use just kind of old school felt paper, 15-pound or 30-pound felt paper. When we talk about pricing, things can vary pretty substantially depending on brand and depending on which type of peel and stick or synthetic underlayment you're going to use. So I'm not going to give specifics on pricing for that. I will tell you one of the common brands that we use is CertainTeed. They have a Roof Runner synthetic underlayment. Then they also have a Diamond Deck synthetic underlayment. So those are even two different levels of synthetic. The important thing to know here for purposes of a shingle roof, though, is peel and stick versus synthetic. That's going to be the biggest cost difference and something that you want to take into account. If you have a low slope roof or even sections of your roof that are low slope, you definitely are going to want to look at doing a peel and stick. Even though it costs more, it's going to be a good investment for you. All right, the next component of the roof, which is the most obvious component of the roof, is going to be shingles. So for a shingle roof, how much your shingles cost has a huge impact. What type of shingles you choose is somewhat aesthetically driven, somewhat functionally driven. So how long do you want them to last? Do you live in a place that has storms more often? In Atlanta, that could be further on the north side, in the Cumming area, Dahlonega. As you get up into the mountains, there's more likelihood of hail due to elevation. But the type of shingles you pick are going to be the biggest driver of how much the roof costs. So let's talk about specific pricing, because I know that's one of the most important things for folks watching this video and with the question of how much does a shingle roof cost. When it comes to a shingle roof, And if we start looking at the most basic type of roofing shingle, that would be what we call 3-tab shingles. Those are shingles that literally look like they have 3 tabs on them. They come as one piece, but there's 3 tabs on that one piece of shingle. That's typically going to run, and this is a broad range, but anywhere from $260 to $330 per square. And a square is 100 square feet. So said differently, $2.60 to $3.30 per square foot. The next step up that we'll talk about is going to be architectural shingles. So architectural shingles are probably going to be somewhere in the range from $3 all the way up to about $3.70 per square foot. So you're looking at, whatever that is, maybe a 10% increase in cost to go from a 3-tab shingle to an architectural shingle. Watch some of our other videos on the benefits of 3-tab versus architectural specifically, and we'll link that here for you. That's going to cover probably 90% of the folks out there looking to do a shingle roof, maybe even more than that. 3-tab and architectural are by far the most common types of shingle roofs that you'll see out there. The last type that we'll talk about is what we'll call a designer shingle. There's a variety of different shingles out there from each manufacturer that we would consider a designer shingle for a roof. Those are going to have a huge price range, and you really need to get engaged with the contractor to help you understand the pricing for your specific roof. To give you some idea of the range you might be talking about, you could be looking at anywhere from $350 all the way up to about $10 per square foot. So that's a massive range on a typical 40 square house. You could be looking at anywhere from 16,000 all the way up to 40,000. Okay, so that's a big range. You need to get some real estimates. You need to get an aerial image done and make sure that you understand the exact costs of those designer shingles before you really go too much further down the process of getting the roof replaced with something that's higher end like that. So let's talk about ventilation. Ventilation is something that can absolutely drive the cost of your shingle roof. So the old school way of doing things was to put turtleback vents, and they kind of are like a bump up vent. Let's say we have a roofing slope here on a home or on a property, and we have this little vent that kind of has a bump to it, and it almost looks like a turtle on the back of your house. They call those turtleback vents. 750 vents are kind of a wider version of it. The more modern way of doing things is to have a soffit vent and a ridge vent, and that is a holistic airflow circulation ventilation system for a roof. So believe it or not, the cost in the grand scheme of doing a roof replacement, the cost of ridge vent installation is not hugely substantial, so it shouldn't have a huge impact on your specific shingle roof. The things that are really going to impact the shingle roof the most are going to be the complexity, how steep the roof is, what type of underlayment we need to use based on the steepness, and then ultimately what type of shingle you decide that you want to install. I hope this video was helpful for determining how much your shingle roof is going to cost. If you have questions about your specific project, feel free to drop some comments below or reach out to us via email. We'd love to answer your questions.